Welcome to... We've already done the clap
no, I was
test.
applauding.
Oh, well now I feel like a dick.
You should, yeah.
Welcome to part 2 of Ask Me Anything. Where us, the 5 Fun Film Friends films, will be answering your questions. Our first question of part 2. Guys, what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is probably red. You can get a lot of uses out of it. Rage, love. It's just a very aesthetic color for me. Santa Claus, of course. Love that color on him. Hot dogs. Fucking love hot dogs. Burger King. Oh, I guess Hungry Jack's here in Australia. And yeah. What about you guys?
That's so good. Would you say that love and rage are 2 defining emotions for you as a human being?
One more so than other. Yeah.
Oh, but you won't say it.
I'm not going to say which one. No. It's one of them. Is probably.
I like that.
I'm 90% one of those, but I'm not going to tell you which one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Beautiful. That's great. Noah.
I don't know. Probably blue. I don't really have a reason. It just looks nice. I don't have. There's no reason.
Yeah, that's a good enough reason.
Mine's probably blue as well.
Okay,
Couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Copycat. I'm not gonna lie and pick and say orange.
You're just like
Fucking turquoise.
Yeah,
what the fuck
right.
Is that?
Right.
lilac. Think like something.
I was waiting for you to say a type of color where I have to go. What is that?
What color is
It's
it?
like a purple.
It's like
right?
my favorite color is mauve.
The fuck
know
is
what I mean?
mauve?
Mauve is like a light purple.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Why, you don't know that?
Oh,
That's a bit embarrassing for you, mate.
well, what's the next question?
Let's move on.
Before things get a little.
That's a
Okay.
real question. We really answered.
This
what's
is
your
a
favorite color.
yeah. Fuck it. All right. Which book deserves to be made into a movie? Or, well, not that there's only one, but what is a book that you'd like to see as a film? Jackson, what do you reckon?
What's a book?
What's a book? You can't read?
No, it's overrated.
No.
I'm not entirely sure, but I think a book is a thing. Most of the time, I think it's made of paper.
I actually
rate
don't
that.
have a proper answer to this. I don't know.
Yeah.
that. I don't.
I have
read
like
too
kind
much.
of an answer to this.
We were talking about, we threw Ant Kind out there, but I
Yeah.
don't even know if you could, because it's 750 pages long as
I mean,
well.
it's one I would theoretically love to see.
Yeah,
But like,
'cause it's-
practically, I don't think it would make for a very coherent movie.
No, I think it
8
works
hour
much better.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a series, but
Yeah.
In Antkind, there's just, it's almost entirely internal thoughts too,
yeah.
and you just couldn't have that. I don't think that much voiceover.
Yeah,
it would
exactly.
it would be almost the entire duration of
It'll
the
be
film.
exposition like 90%.
Yeah, completely. Like, there's films that do that well, like Fear and Loathing has Johnny Depp's character, like Duke Raoul's thoughts throughout most of it, but like this would be so much more.
Right.
Yeah, but I love the story. Awesome story so far. You got one?
I mean, kind of. I think, like, the problem with saying something like, oh, I want to turn all my favorite books into movies is, like, I sort of feel like the best stuff in every artistic medium is woven into the art form that it's been made into.
Yeah.
So, like, I think all the best movies, if you took them and made them into something in a different medium, like wrote a book out of them or wrote anything, or you would lose the thing that made it so that it had to be made that way in that sort of medium, if that makes sense. And so, like, you know, I can't think of, like, adapting a lot of my favorite books because they're so intrinsically tied to the medium that you would, like, lose so much of what is there on the page.
Yeah.
And I don't think that just, like, adapting something because it's a really great book is a good answer. It's like a good reason to adapt something.
Yeah.
I think it's dumb.
Is there something that you think would translate well to film?
I think, like,
Something you've
my
read?
my answer for this is, like, a bunch of, like, Roald Dahl books that haven't
Yeah.
been adapted because
The Twits.
the Twits would be
Yeah.
awesome. And, like, imagine the makeup you could do for that stuff. Put the I'm Thinking of Ending Things makeup team on that.
Wow.
You'd go crazy. Ezio Trott would make for a really nice movie, I think. I forget the name of this, like, short Roald Dahl book about this guy who has to, like, walk backwards everywhere. It's a great book.
He's
I forgot
so
what it is.
creative.
But, like, there's things that would translate. And the other reason I say that is because a lot of Roald Dahl books come with illustrations in them that I'm pretty sure he draws, where, like, you can sort of see his, like, art style and what he would have had in mind. And if he was comfortable putting those illustrations on the page, you know, you might be more open to somebody taking his stuff into like visual language. And like I think a lot of the adaptations of his stuff, Fantastic Mr. Fox, we've talked about already,
awesome.
is brilliant. But like the first adaptation of The Witches with Angelica Houston, I've forgotten the director's name, but man, that's a crazy movie. Like it's bits of it, you know, it feels a little dated, but the practical effects that they've done for like the witch characters and stuff, they're awesome.
Yeah.
That like, it scared the shit out of me as a kid, but it's so well done, a lot of that stuff. Rowan Atkinson's in it, he kills it, great performance, but like there's lots of great stuff that could be done with his imagery and his universe. And I don't think you would lose the comedy of it or the metaphor of it in translating it visually, because I think Roald Dahl's a really visual writer. Like he explains things to you, and he doesn't explain it in some sort of like overly poetic way, or like even a normal poetic way. Like some writers, you read their books and the thing that makes it great is the way in which they use their language. And so if you were to translate that into a movie, you lose all of that stuff that is so essential to the story being what it is. But there's a lot of just descriptions in Roald Dahl books, and like that's great. It's like your movie's almost made. You can almost direct it out of the book, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's my answer.
There's some stuff with like Dr. Seuss. We've already talked about The Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Where like the illustration style matches the tone within which like the rhyming happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just not made for a cat suit
Yes.
walking around in 3D. Like it's just not. It feels wrong.
They should do like stop motion animation versions of those Dr. Seuss things.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
they
like
should.
a good
Like there's the
translating.
Lorax too, which
Yeah.
is just a bit like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna put too much
It
dirt on it,
didn't
but
work
like
for me.
yeah,
I
I didn't feel like it
I
translated.
just feel like the art style, it's so fantastical, but like everything has these like sort of jagged edges in Dr. Seuss books, and I feel like you
Yeah.
could translate that through stop motion really well. I feel like that would be a good medium
or even
for it.
just like cartoon. I would rate that. Just keep the illustration stuff.
yeah
animated.
Do a 2D animation.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Mhm.
While we were eating lunch, I mentioned the metamorphosis,
Mhm.
and obviously you feel like that's probably not a
No, I wouldn't want to see a movie.
yeah. I was thinking of books that I've read that haven't been turned into films, and,
Yeah.
and the truth is, the books I've read recently are I'm Thinking of Ending Things,
Yeah.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, The Road.
Right.
They're all films.
Movies, yeah.
But I read Metamorphosis. I think it would be the same issue we had with Antkind.
Yeah.
You need to be able to read that much depth in his thought that I don't think would
Yeah.
translate well to
It's just
Like-
voiceover the whole time,
yeah,
first of all.
exactly. And I wouldn't want the bug. I'd kind of like imagining the bug rather than, because it's very vague.
I think it's the whole point of the book. I think the reason it's written with like a relatively vague description of the idea of the bug, like Kafka only really like tends to describe the bug when it's necessary for you to know like why he can't do something. It's like, oh, because this is the part of his body that it looks like this now. And like you can try and sketch what the bug looks like, but if you were to lay it out in graphic detail, you'd be like, this is less spooky now.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that he doesn't lay it out is because it's, you know, it's a fucking metaphor. Like
Yeah, completely.
And so if you illustrate that visually, it's the same as like illustrating any creature visually in any medium, in a painting, in anything. It's like I love creature effects in movies, and like I'm a huge Guillermo del Toro fan, and there's a bunch of like great creature designs that I'm just like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And in some movies it works really, really well. But I think the thing that doesn't work so well is when the creatures actually are supposed to be legitimately scary. Because if you've seen horror movies and fantasy movies and all that sort of stuff, like those sort of creature designs start to not really be scary after you're like 20, because you're just like, it's a creature in a movie, like this is a fantasy thing, like it doesn't scare me anymore. It's like, it's never going to be as scary as real life stuff. All the scariest movies, really, they're all documentaries, but like bringing it back from that, all the scariest movies that are really scary movies are not horror movies, they're like dramas, generally speaking. And then the horror movies are there because they're like roller coasters. They're not really scary, they're like thrilling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is a different thing. Like a jump scare is not a scare, it's a thrill. It's different. If it's too scary, it's not fun anymore, and then it's not a horror movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you show that bug on screen, it's just gonna look goofy. No matter who draws it,
Yeah.
it's gonna look like a weird bug. It's not gonna be anywhere near as scary. And I think the reason the Metamorphosis as a book works so well is because it's so fucking depressing as it goes on. Like, chapter for chapter, it's just like sinking lower and lower. But having a big bloody bug on screen,
like some of the really
I'm not gonna buy it.
heartbreaking moments in, like, without spoiling things, like some of the really heartbreaking moments where, like, there's a bit where he's on his back. I can just tell already that would look like almost comical.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were to see it, like, it looks like a beach turtle, you know?
Yeah. Film's not a medium that works well in terms of imagination. Like, it's one of the worst mediums for, like, imagination stuff, because anything that you imagine is going to be cooler than once it's limited. You know what I mean? So, like, once it's on screen and there's a visual to go with it, it stops being as intense or as scary because it's there and you can actualize it. You know, it's there. And if there's, like, a painting that you see, if it had, like, audio accompaniment to it, it would ground it more because you could tell the story and what's happening. You know what I mean? It becomes less abstract immediately. So in some sense, because film uses all these elements of different art forms and brings them together, it is really constricting, like really not a good medium to try and leave things abstract. So you have to, like, inherently fight against that if you want your movie to be more abstract. So you make movies where you don't show things, and that's what's scary.
Yeah.
And how the hell do you do the metamorphosis like that? Like POV the whole movie?
Yeah.
That's gonna suck. So, yeah, I don't think there's room for it. And it's not to say you can't adapt Kafka books into movies. Like, I think The Trial's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Even if Stanley Kubrick didn't. But, like...
He didn't like The Trial?
Apparently not. I've heard an interview clip of him saying, like, none of the Kafka adaptations to movies have really worked because it's not done straight. It's turned into this, like, fantasy thing, which I get his argument for it. It makes a lot of sense to me. Like, Kafka's writing is straight. It's very straight. It's like Hunter S. Thompson writing where it's just like, this happens, then this happens.
Yeah.
There's no, like, flowery description of things. And, like, books that are recounts sometimes work better because you don't feel bad about adapting it because it's like, it's just a recount. I'm not infringing on art here. It's basically a ready-made script or a treatment. But yeah, I don't think you can do it. It would lose so much.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody making a Metamorphosis movie that is as depressing as the book is, and, like, that's the point. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's yeah. You covered it.
yeah, I mean,
for sure. Yeah. I don't even know if there's like not even The Judgment by Kafka, the little short story.
it's not gonna work.
No, not at all. It's really great, but yeah. I agree. Like, some things are specifically, they perform as one of the best in their medium because they're tailor-made for
You'd have to
the
change
medium.
the whole thing. You couldn't do it with the same tone, I don't think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Any other books?
No.
No?
No.
Fair play. All right. I'm going to throw this one in here. This was kind of funny. Someone asked, why are you guys all so sexy? I think, Jackson, you could answer this one best, since you're bringing up the group average.
I'd like to thank God and genetics as well. I think working in film, we've all learned how to present ourselves on video to look our sexiest.
Yeah.
Good lighting, good genetics, and just good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I attribute it to.
Would you say you've mastered it?
I'd say I've probably more than mastered it. I am it.
I got nothing to add to that. That's gospel.
Noah, anything?
I mean, I think Jackson would be better at it if he showed up in arseless chaps.
Yeah.
Noted. Next time.
Yeah.
We'll keep that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
We'll keep that in mind. Don't forget. Alrighty. Okay. This is kind of interesting. Any hints you can give us on projects in the works? Something that is coming up pretty soon. I think we've already made an Instagram post about it because we locked off the location about a month or so ago. Is Skye Fellman, who was one of the lead actresses in Flesh and Ivory, she came to us with a script for a short film that she wrote that we thought was really interesting. We've decided to take that on and we're going to make it into a short film. We got the first draft from Skye and then we ended up writing some more drafts, and we've cast Joel Drabble from Flesh and Ivory as well now, so he'll be in it, and we're shooting in early November, so that's something coming up. And I'm still writing the feature film that I've been writing for a while. That's going to come out eventually. Not sure what else I can say about that one. It's too early for me. What about you guys?
Noah, do you want to talk about...
We've got the big one.
Similar boats here. I mean, yeah, I'm writing stuff, but also, like, soon we will be seeking distribution for Bloom.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
And we're shooting your next feature.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say? You've said the title.
It's on the website. I know,
Oh, yeah,
so
okay.
I guess we can say it.
Yeah. The Dancer and the Fool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there anything you can give away about the plot at all? Premise? Logline?
No.
No? Okay. Well,
I don't know.
That's the answer. Yep.
Who knows what's on... I don't know what I've actually released about it, even on a website or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a theatre in it.
I think it's just the title and that picture. I think that's all there is.
Yeah,
there you go.
cool.
The
Yeah.
picture's a theatre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a theatre in there.
Some scenes in a
A
theatre.
little bit of context.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Another thing as well, we've got a short film that myself, Noah, and Taylor are writing together. That's called Bleeder.
Yeah.
That's up on the website.
We're not going to say what it's about.
We're not going to say what it's
That's
about.
What it's called.
You can see in the photo, you can see that there's a coach talking to a boxer.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the photo.
Mm-hmm.
That has something to do with the film. That's all we'll say. So, yeah, a few things in the works, guys. Next year will be pretty busy with releases. Yeah, because it's pretty fair to say Jackson's stressed.
Jackson's stressed already.
We got this year. It's pretty fair to say this year, a lot of this year had to do with setting up the company and prepping for the shooting that's going to be happening next year.
Yeah,
and a lot of the distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So get ready for it. But yeah, we're probably gonna have a massive 2023, I reckon. So,
oh fuck yeah!
Oh god, yeah. There's a lot of things in the works.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Shit.
Yeah, we got some stuff happening. Oh, this is interesting. Are there any long-standing concepts that you eventually fell out of love with? Ideas or concepts for stories? I don't think I've had one.
I mean, some were more interesting than others at different times. I just have records of all my ideas. And like, there are things that are just going to sit in drawers if I ever have budgets for quadrillions of dollars to make things, you know what I mean? And I think the ideas have just like changed as my taste has changed. So I guess the answer is no.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can always dig something up and twist it into something that's good. I just don't really feel like there are bad ideas. There's just poor execution or like not the means to do it.
Absolutely. There's never like Kaufman's got that great thing. He's speaking at the BAFTA lecture and he says, I've never met any of you, but I'm confident that every single one of you is a great storyteller in your dreams. Because it's all instinct, and he thinks that, especially when it's based on the subconscious, like that's most honest.
Sure.
And that's one of his, yeah, like indicators for a good story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the same boat, to be honest. I've had, like the idea for the feature that I came up with 2 and a bit years ago, and I just wrote notes on it when I had ideas or things that I thought could help flesh out the question that I was getting myself into. Yeah, if I've ever had an idea or a concept, so a thought that I've had enough reflection on to the point where I would call it like a concept or an idea. You know, at that point, like there's fleeting thoughts and then there's concepts.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't scrap any of them. I think I've got a couple that I've shelved because I feel like I don't know how to do them, or I feel like I'm not mature enough to get the most out of them yet. Like I need to ruminate on it a bit more. So yeah, no, not for me. Not yet. We'll see. Hopefully never. What about you, Jackson?
I'm not too much of a writer. I tend to focus more on producing, but I've definitely had ideas that I wouldn't say I fell out of love with, but kind of in the same boat as you. Probably just not mature enough to like fully understand the concept that I'm trying to say, or just not really knowing how to crack the story properly. There's 2 that I've been thinking about for a while that I just can't crack for some reason. But yeah, there's 2 concepts that have just stayed in my mind for a bit, but I wouldn't say I fell out of love with them. They're kind of just floating around in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what to do with them.
I think that's a good place to be honest. Better for that than to rush into it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm definitely not in a rush to write anything. I don't really have too much experience writing, so it's probably, if I do end up wanting to write one of those stories, it'll be a slower process. I don't want to rush anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really cool. Next question. Let's do it. Are there any particular quotes from an artist or filmmaker that inspire you or keep you going?
I prepped a little for this, so I have quotes if you guys want to Google
You've got,
stuff.
Jackson, you. I've probably got 1 or 2, I think.
I've got one that I know about. It's not like from a celebrity, but it's in a movie. It's in my favorite movie, Synecdoche, New York.
Hey, we have the same favorite movie.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Is it not your favorite movie? Well, then you can kindly fuck off.
Isaac's a normie. He prefers Eternal Sunshine.
Oh, that's not even Catch Up. No, that's not my favorite anymore. Catch Up.
What's your favorite right
It's
now?
probably Patterson.
It's favorite.
really?
It's probably
Eternal Sunshine.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm shocked. The quote that I really like is the end is built into the beginning. Ever since I heard that for the first time, it's really stuck with me. The way it's portrayed in the movie, I won't really spoil what happens in the movie, but more or less I like the idea that however your life is going to end is more or less dictated on the actions that you do today. Like the house in Synecdoche, New York, that's where they end up, you know, and that's dictated by the purchasing of that house, more or less. That phrase is in my mind a lot when I'm trying to make important decisions, and I do think about like decades ahead in my life and where I want to be, and I try to think about the actions that I can do now to get to that point at the end of my life. So yeah, that's why.
That's really nice.
Best movie ever, man.
Yeah, probably. It's not
It's no Patterson.
It's not.
You're right.
For me to say, yeah, it's look, for me, like personal favorites different to like ranking them.
I get it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
no Notting Hill.
No, which is top 10 personal favorites for me. Can't lie. Synecdoche's in there for sure for me in my personal top 10. I watched it last week, and there was a bit, no, because it's a spoiler. There's a part with Ellen Bascom's mum. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
That
amazing.
completely obliterated me because I
Yeah, yeah,
rewatched it and I totally forgot it was in the film.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that happens and it just, it was like a flash knockdown. It was like the punch I didn't see coming.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
completely broke me. I think mine's probably not from a film. I've referenced this lecture so much on the podcast, but it's just the thing that I keep coming back to. Charlie Kaufman, so the writer-director of Synecdoche, who we all love.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know he wrote Synecdoche?
No idea.
Wait, what's Synecdoche?
Synecdoche, your favorite film.
Apparently there's this dude called Charlie Kaufman.
Charlie Kaufman wrote it. Did you
Oh.
not know that? It was the guy who wrote Kung Fu Panda.
Oh,
Number
fuck
2.
That
Fuck,
guy.
my
That
second
guy.
favorite movie.
Yeah.
Fuck
That guy. He got asked to do the lecture after Kung Fu Panda 2 because it was so successful.
Right.
No, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
No.
Yeah.
He has a... It's so silly. Oh, also, by the way, you can Google this if you want. Charlie Kaufman wrote Kung Fu Panda 2. He's a credited writer. He didn't write the whole thing.
Right.
But he didn't write Kung Fu Panda 2, but he's one of the credited writers. He did have a pass at
He
it,
had a
I'm
pass,
pretty
yeah,
sure.
okay.
Other writers that you might not know, Noah Baumbach was a credited writer on Madagascar 3. M. Night Shyamalan was a credited writer on Stuart Little. Not even kidding. M. Night Shyamalan also wrote She's All That.
I haven't seen She's All That, so that means
It would
nothing to
blow
me.
you away
Okay.
that he was involved. Anyway, I just
Yeah.
thought that was funny.
It's shocking when you find out that she was dead the whole time.
Wait, is that a joke?
You didn't
or
get
is
that?
a spoiler, right?
Did you miss that? Aren't you glad we're
It's
here?
a joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, of course not. There's a BAFTA lecture that Charlie Kaufman gave. We've all seen it. We all got shown it in university. Something that he says that I think about a lot is he says something along the lines of, think maybe I'm not interesting, but I'm the only thing I have to offer and I want to offer something. I really like that. Because, like as we were saying earlier, the quality of something is the execution. It's not always the concept itself. So if you feel something, you should trust that there's value in it, and it's a matter of just figuring out how to put it in the best way.
Yeah.
So that's where I start. If something that I'm putting down makes me feel a particular way, I'll try and investigate what that is, and that's a good base. And it's also just remembering the fact that we've all got something to say. Be confident in your art. I'm a fan of that.
I'm trying to put things off the top of my head before reading a couple. I mean, this is like advice, I guess, from like filmic people, but like to me, a lot of it is like writing advice. You know what I mean? And I think I've heard like Bob Dylan and Tom Waits say some similar things in regards to like writing, which is, just put the words down and don't think about it too much, and then worry about it later, like read it later. There's a great like press conference where Bob Dylan says, just put the song down like I know what it means, and I might not know exactly what it means, but I know what it's about, Like that's like pretty useful, and I kind of use that. And if I don't know exactly what something means later on, then I take it out and I just keep the stuff that's important. But you know, I feel like writing is like you put down 100% of stuff and then you take 10% that works, or like 5% or 1% that works. But it's more about putting the words down than keeping it all, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not like a huge quote guy. I mean, there are just things that filmmakers have said that stuck in my head. I like this one part of the behind the scenes of the new Twin Peaks where David Lynch gets mad at an AD and says, "Who gives a fucking shit how long a scene is?"
Yeah.
Because I felt like yelling that at a few people in my life. Because it's like, you know, if you're shooting for realism, life is, you know, there's a lot of silence. I feel like that like puts people off, but to me, you can't make anybody more uncomfortable than just putting silence in a movie. Forces everybody to shut up. I like that credits, The Favourite by Yorgos Lanthimos, is just silence. I remember that movie ending and the sound fading out and the credits just playing in silence and being like, holy shit, he did the Michael Haneke credits, because all of Haneke's credits are silent. The effect in the theatre was like palpable. Like you could feel that everybody was so uncomfortable leaving the theatre and you just know that it stuck with them.
Especially with that following on from that final montage.
Yeah.
That's
it's
so
brilliant.
overwhelming.
So like that stuff's really useful. I did write down a few things that are like saved on my computer because they're like pieces of advice, I would say.
With the example that you just gave where the credits show and there's absolutely no sound, do you feel like you have to stay completely silent? Yeah. Otherwise, like, you're disturbing a piece or something?
You have to. It's a really good way to get people to pay attention during a movie, because even when that played in the theatre, even though it was credits, nobody talked. Everybody left the theatre before they spoke.
Jesus.
Because they feel like they have to respect it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same thing. Like, I get mad at people who talk during movies. It's like my church, you know? It's like, don't talk.
Yeah.
Shut up. So, like, but the silence helps, you know? I feel like if there's loud music over it and there's more stimulus, people feel like they have more of a liberty to take their phone out, as opposed to, like, forcing people to pay attention, put it that way.
I go through my popcorn like crazy at the loudest scenes.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not disturbing anyone.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there's a few things I wrote down that I sort of have saved on my computer that I look at because they help. One's from Kafka. I know he's not a filmmaker, but it says, "Don't bend, don't water it down, don't try to make it logical, don't edit your own soul according to the fashion. Rather, follow your most intense obsessions mercilessly." So you don't really need any writing advice after you read that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's it. There's a quote from Fellini that I liked quite a lot. I read it after I saw La Dolce Vita for the first time, and it says, "I feel like a criminal. I want to leave no traces of what a film has cost me. I destroy everything."
That's intense.
Which is a really intense quote, but you watch the Dolce Vita and you go, yeah, I get it, you know. And the last thing I will read is by Tarkovsky. This is a line in a movie. It's in Stalker. It's not a spoiler for Stalker, don't worry, but it's like this is what it says anyhow. "Let everything that's been planned come true. Let them believe, and let them have a laugh at their passions. Because what they call passion actually is not some emotional energy, but just the friction between their souls and the outside world. And most important, let them believe in themselves. Let them be helpless like children, because weakness is a great thing, and strength is nothing. When a man is just born, he is weak and flexible. When he dies, he is hard and insensitive. When a tree is growing, it's tender and pliant. But when it's dry and hard, it dies. Hardness and strength are death's companions. Pliancy and weakness are expressions of the freshness of being, because what has hardened will never win."
Wow.
And that's just excellent writing advice for anybody who wants to do anything, I think. So, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Can you send me those, Noah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Same. Chuck them up in the group chat,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, no worries.
That's fantastic. Wow, that is
I
I feel like I'm in the silent credits right now after
me
hearing
too.
that. Yeah. Okay, another question. Imagine saying that after hearing this.
We need to like
Yeah, right. I'm trying to because the next question on here is, what is your most embarrassing moment? And I'm
Let's
still
go.
thinking about the fucking Stalker quote. We'll finish on this fun one. All right, what's your most embarrassing moment? I'm gonna assume this is just general. This is not a filmic thing.
Let's rephrase this. Most embarrassing moment you would share on camera.
That we would share
the
on
internet.
camera on the internet on a podcast
Yeah.
to represent our company.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I've got one.
Okay, go.
You guys have heard it. Once upon a time, I worked at Nando's in Capalaba, and one of my good mates who worked at Nando's, he was moving away to Melbourne the next day. I loved that staff. I was friends with all of the people who worked there. Mm-hmm. So a bunch of us, we'd always talked about the fact that we were going to do this hot wings challenge that was at a local shopping center. I'm not going to say the restaurant because, yeah, it didn't turn out well. So I'm pretty damn good with spice. Like usually at Nando's, every shift you get a free meal.
I love this story.
Yeah.
This is a great story.
And every shift you get a free meal. I was always having hot, extra hot. The flavor in the hot sauce is way better.
Yeah.
Always. But we went to this thing. We all felt pretty good because we'd always had our free Nando's meals. It was always hot. We thought we're all really good with spicy food. I grew up in Indonesia. I've been having curries since I was like 2 years old. I was feeling exceptional heading into this. I thought I had them. My mate Damon, who was admittedly, he told us before that he was not so good with spice. And we went, okay, well, we'll see. So we started with Damon. The first red flag should have been the fact that we had to sign a waiver to participate in the wings challenge.
Yeah.
And the wings challenge at this restaurant was, in 2 minutes, you had to eat 8 wings, really hot wings. And if you ate the wings, you got your name up on the wall of fame in the restaurant, and you got a $25 gift voucher. Mm-hmm. That's it. And you get your meal for free.
Okay. I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you actually read the waiver, or did you just sign it?
Oh, yeah, we read it.
Okay.
We read it. It was just one page.
Oh, okay,
I've still got a photo of it somewhere.
Okay, cool.
We'll chuck it up if we want. So Damon went first, and we were egging him on, and Damon looked at us. He ate one wing. We had the stopwatch going. The restaurant attendant was there, and he looked at us and he went like with shock and couldn't believe how spicy the wings were. And he ran to the toilet and immediately threw up to get it out. And we went, okay, well, we'll take care of Damon, but we said that we'd do it. We'd feel bad if we just left Damon being the only one to do it. And so I went, okay, well, Damon sucks at spice, so I'm going to be fine. I'll do it to avenge Damon. And I started, they said, go. I started eating the wings. Ate the first one, it was pretty spicy. And I went, okay, great, bang, done. Okay, I got to eat the second wing. And while I was eating the second wing, I felt the first wing make its way all the way down my esophagus. Like I could point to where it was.
Right.
Because it was burning me up that much. And there's footage of it where I have the second wing and I look up and I make the same face Damon made, which is, holy shit, we agreed to do this. This is where we're in trouble now. And I went to the toilet next cubicle to where Damon was. Mm-hmm. We were both throwing up, and it would have been fine if we threw it up and it was cool. But what happened was, obviously some gets down. Both of us burnt the linings of our stomach. And so we were in perpetual pain for about an hour in the shopping center toilets. And both of us had stripped down to our undies because we were panicking so much that we were overheating that much.
Yeah.
And so they had to call an ambulance. And the 2 medics came in and they were trying to explain to us that we have to put our clothes back on before they could come into the urinal. And I remember not even being able to hear what the paramedic was saying. I couldn't understand her because I was in so much pain. And then they gave us, in a little tube, they gave us both a little morphine drip to try and relax us so they could get us onto the gurneys and out of the shopping center and out of everyone's way, more or less. Yeah. And before we went out into the food court, it's a packed food court. It was like a Saturday lunchtime, probably 200 people out there. And the paramedic said, look, there's a couple of things we can do. You can act like you're asleep. That's if you're too embarrassed. We can put the cloth over you if you want. If you don't want to show your face, because this will be embarrassing, but I recommend against it because it might freak people out because it looks like you're dead. Yeah. Or you can just cop it and sit in the gurney.
Right.
And so me and my mate Damien just said we're just going to cop it.
Yeah. And
so we were getting rolled through with all of the shopping people walking past us, everyone at their restaurants looking at us.
Epic.
And we went to our separate hospitals, and Damon went to Melbourne the next day, and I didn't see him for like 6 months after that.
Yep.
And I went home.
I thought you were going to say, and I didn't see him ever again.
And I didn't see him ever again, yeah. Yeah, so, and I got told never to do a wing challenge again because I'd, like, burnt and, like, injured a part of my stomach lining.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Damn,
So that was pretty embarrassing.
Bro, I had one bite of a jalapeno the other day and I nearly fucking died.
Oh, dude.
I could not do that challenge.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm too white.
Man, yeah. What about you boys?
I haven't told you guys this. But,
Oh, let's go.
it's not too bad. I used to work at a jewelry store, so I had to wear a suit. And one day I was working, went on my lunch break, went to a cafe in the shopping centre, ordered my coffee, and then I was just waiting for my coffee for a bit. Another girl orders her coffee and like waits sort of like just a little bit further from me, and yeah, I haven't even told you this.
Keep going.
She keeps staring at me, and I'm
I'm
like,
not
all
that
right.
sharp. I don't know what the punchline is.
She keeps looking at me, and I'm like, all right, this is a bit weird. Anyway, she like literally just walks over and stands next to me, and I'm like, okay. So she says hi out of nowhere. I say hi. We have a bit of a chat. Tell her I work at a jewelry store. She works at a makeup store in the same shopping center. We have a good chat. After my name gets called for the coffee, I go grab my coffee. I come back. I ask for her number. Turns out she was married. Didn't see the ring. I had no idea.
Yeah, sure.
Good on you for go.
Did she have a ring on?
She had the ring on.
You just
Yeah.
didn't look.
No.
You just assumed. You were like, oh yeah.
I don't know, man. I just thought, I don't know. She started a conversation,
Sure.
so I thought,
Strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's told me she had a husband. I was like, sorry, my bad, didn't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the workers in the cafe heard,
Epic.
and they're all
This is
kind
a
of like,
cafe that you usually go to as well.
yeah.
Oh, no.
And they heard, they're kind of like smiling, having a giggle about it, and I just left, and I've never gone back to the cafe since.
yeah.
I've never gone back
Oh, no.
to that particular cafe, and I've seen her around that shopping center a few times as well because she works there too.
Yikes.
So yeah, there's 2 places I avoid in that shopping center now.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah,
I thought it was gonna be worse. I thought.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna have.
something.
Oh, I thought you were
No.
gonna have forget that you have your fly down and like
Oh, yeah, that's
went
a bad one,
commando or something.
no, it wasn't
Some
that
shit.
bad, but in the moment it was fucking pretty
Oh, man.
embarrassing.
Good on you. Well, I tell you what, she would have been very flattered, I'm sure, and like.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you weren't like a dick about it or anything. Like, you're such a nice guy.
I hope not.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know.
It was fine.
Yeah.
She just told me. I said sorry, and then we went our
yeah.
separate ways. So
Honest mistake.
Yeah,
I reckon. That's,
exactly.
Yeah. Noah?
That's a good story.
Yeah, I like that. Good on you going, having a go.
shoot your
Yeah.
shot. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the story it's appropriate to tell on the podcast. I said this to you guys a couple hours ago when trying to think about this story. I met Taylor on a film.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate this. I met Taylor on a film at university. He was an actor in it, and I was the continuity guy, script supervisor guy on it. And I had to like wait for scenes to be ready to shoot for me to do my job to some extent. So we were just talking, and we were walking into the room where they were doing his makeup, I think.
Yeah.
And there was a behind-the-scenes photographer on the set, and people were calling him all day to like take photos of people doing certain things for, you know, press for the movie, I guess. And as we're walking, Taylor and I'd met the guy like 3 days ago, and the thing about this movie was that like he was, you know, he's Taylor, he has some like public profile, and like I didn't know him before I met him on the set or whatever, but there was this like culture of like, oh my god, that's Taylor Glockner, you know what I mean? And we just hung out on set, like we were hanging out on set for like 3 days before, and so I assumed we were cool, whatever. So we're walking back to this makeup room, we're in the middle of like a conversation about something serious as well, which is why it was bad. And then somebody in set calls out, "Can we get a photo?" And the BTS photographer heard that, and I think that he thought that I said it, but I didn't say
But
it.
the BTS photographer said it.
No, somebody else said it. The BTS photographer thought that it was me who said it. So the guy comes up, and he's like, "Can we get a photo or something like this or whatever?" And Taylor was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah. And I think Taylor thought that I was asking him for a photo with him out of nowhere in the middle of a conversation. He just smiled and posed for photos. Normally I'm like, oh shit, I'm taking a photo right now. So I did the same thing. And then we kept walking. Taylor never mentioned it. This is a new story for you, Taylor, if you when you listen to this. But man, it was bad. I was just like...
Did you guys pose for it?
No, it was
or
just
did you
weird.
say, no, I didn't say
Like, I didn't want to come off like I was fanboying about the guy for, like, no reason.
Yeah, no,
it was
in a
just
professional...
terrible.
Yeah, because you're trying to work with Taylor
Yeah, and we were
too,
talking about making stuff, like, into this, and I was just like, oh, this is so cringe. It was bad, dude. It was so bad. And I was worried for, like, the rest of the shoot. I'm like, oh, shit, does he think that, like... I'm trying to, like, bite off him or something, you know what I mean? It was bad. It was bad, dude.
Clearly you didn't think that role still worked.
Yeah,
It's all good.
Here we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been Calligram Podcast episode Ask Us Anything. That was really fun. I'm sure we're going to do another one in the future.
Sure, yeah,
We'll open it up again. We've got a lot more podcast episodes coming out soon. We'll probably put this one out pretty soon. Don't know when that will be, so it's almost redundant to say. But there you go, I've said it. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned.